But now I don't see those cobbles and curbs. I don't hear the blues anymore.
Rough Trade is giving away a third of the first 3 months of the Rough Trade Club plus new music membership exclusively to 101 Part-Time Jobs listeners. Become a member of Rough Trade Club New Music and you'll receive the Rough Trade Album of the Month straight to your door every month on exclusive vinyl pressing with exclusive bonus material. Club members have received exclusive pressings of albums from Sufjan Stevens, Sprints, The Last Dinner Party, Julie Byrne and Over Mono, just to name a few, this past year alone. Sign up using the promo code CLUB101POD and you'll get the Rough Trade Album of the Month, English Teacher's excellent debut album, This Could Be Texas, on exclusive Galaxy Gold for a third of the usual price. Here's English Teacher on a recent episode of 101.
How many opportunities do you get to write a debut album and have all of this, sport behind us? I don't know, I really like the idea of holding the bar as being like classic songs.
You only get one shot at a debut.
Don't want the album of the month but still want all the benefits? Sign up to the standard tier using Club 101 Pod and you'll still get the first month free. You'll also get free shipping on all orders, 10% off the bar and on secondhand vinyl in store, and exclusive access to sold out Rough Trade events. So don't hang around. Go to roughtrade.com/club and sign up with the code CLUB101POD. That's CLUB101POD and claim money off the album of the month, English Teachers This Could Be Texas, today. This offer's available to UK residents only. Do you play in bands? I did for the longest time. And I wish that I knew that DistroKid was a thing. I don't even think it existed back then. DistroKid makes music distribution fun and easy with unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of your royalties and earnings. 1 million plus artists rely on DistroKid to get their music on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, Instagram, and all the major streaming services. When you get DistroKid, you can see a DistroKid bank and withdraw your earnings. You get notified when you've earned royalties and you can withdraw via the app. And you can even check your streaming stats on Spotify and Apple. Get 30% off your first year on DistroKid by going to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. 30% off for your first year. That's not bad. We know it's a tough world out there. Why don't you make it easier for yourself? And to get 30% off that free year as an artist, where you get 100% of your royalties and earnings, go to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. All right, stay with me. I'll be right back after this.
Hey there. Did you know Baker's always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower than low prices? And when you download the Baker's app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Baker's today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
The Vietnam War, it's over. Your job's just begun.
A new HBO original limited series.
Welcome to the world of spycraft. Strap in.
From executive producers Park Chan-wook and Robert Downey Jr.
What are you concealing?
Based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel by Viet Thanh Nguyen.
What if I told you that I was a communist spy?
How did you become this?
The Sympathizer, streaming April 14th on Max. Subscription required.
Hey, what is up, rock and roll fans? You're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs. I'm Giles Bidder, and I speak to folk who are interesting and exciting, people who are making music, about the stories that we don't hear anywhere else, the stories of their everyday, of that little kernel of an idea that then snowballed into these songs, these records that we love and are part of our everyday lives. We wake up to them on our alarm clock, you listen to them on the way to work, you work in your free time, you're going to the gigs. This huge culture that we see our identity in, really. There's lots of us, there's loads of us, and it's important, it's vital. Now more than ever, it could be going to fucked, could be going to shit, you know? All these huge, like 1 or 2 huge companies are going to be in charge of it, but let's not get down in the weeds with that. It's interesting, exciting, independent people with independent brains. And that's who we got on today. This guy who I just met. I have to say I didn't know his name before. I was introduced to him as someone who worked on that amazing new Queens of the Stone Age record, In Time's New Roman. Immediately, we found out that we grew up, at least for a part of our lives, one road away. There was one road between Cowper Road and Boxwell Road in Berkhamsted, in Hertfordshire, on the border of Buckinghamshire, here in England, and loved chatting with him. He's nominated for a Grammy, which is happening today. I mean, this is exciting. This is cool. I mean, this is what music's about. There are all these people who are making interesting, cool shit, and we don't even know most of them. So that's what I was thinking the other day. I love hearing new music every day. Don't get me wrong. I want to listen to Jeff Buckley Grace all the time, but I think I feel good, better. I might go as far to say when I just hear new music every day, and I feel that way about people. I love doing this. I love interviewing people. It's not an interview, it's chat. It's a mutual conversation. Being introduced to Robert Adam Stevenson, who is out in LA. He runs Johnny Depp's studio. He's made records with Jeff Beck and a bunch of other exciting records that I haven't yet heard. You know, that's the exciting thing about music. The exciting thing is about finding out the next thing. You know what I mean? It's the breadcrumb trail of exciting stuff. So, look, here he is, Robert Adam Stevenson, here on 101 Part-Time Jobs. I hope you enjoyed this chat, this episode. I sure did. Shout out to 2000 Trees Festival, which is an amazing independent rock festival here in the UK. I'm just clicking onto their website. The Gaslight Anthem is headlining the Chats. Also headlining Manchester Orchestra, Creeper, Boston Manor, Hot Mulligan, Nova Twins, Hot Milk. So many ace bands of 2000 Trees. I've been half dozen times. I feel like that's quite a long amount of enough times to go to a festival and know whether you like it or not, and probably tell if you've been a few times. 2000 Trees, it's an amazing festival. If you're looking for a brilliant place to go see some rock bands and also some folk, quieter indie stuff, also the other end of the spectrum like hardcore and metal, 2000 Trees has got such a lush array of bands. 2000trees.co.uk. Pick up your tickets for this July now.
Introducing Ampolo, the new app for musicians. Using AI stem separation, play along to any song, improving your practice and performance. Record audio or video and connect with musicians all over the world, collaborating and creating together. Think Google Docs meets TikTok, but for musicians. There's a huge range of video and audio editing tools, and the best part, it's free. Download today and make your mark. Ampolo, made for music.
Want to learn your instrument better? Collaborate with people online? Ampolo is the app for you. Go and download it now from the App Store. But right now, we got Robert Adam Stevenson, who worked on that fucking incredible new Queens of the Stone Age record, In Time's New Roman. Up for a Grammy award for it today. Here he is. 101 Part-Time Jobs. So, do you know what I think? I think a great place to start is right now you are looking after Johnny Depp's studio. You're the main guy there, right? You do the bookings, and also like you're producing people there. You're the main contact there. That is a far cry from growing up in Oxford. Did you grow up in Oxford, playing music around then, growing up?
Yeah, sort of. I was at school in Oxford, and then I was in the music scene there, which is an amazing place to start with music. Radiohead being the kind of big uncle on everyone's shoulders, that's the sort of aim when you're in a band playing the local scene is, you have the legacy of Radiohead. The Zodiac. Oh yeah, you remember the Zodiac back in the day, which was nice because that was part.
Yeah, I used to go there when I was a kid. Yeah,
that was part owned by Radiohead and Supergrass and Ride. When they all kind of broke out of Oxford and made a bit of money, they fed back into the local scene, and supported things. Zodiac was kind of our hub.
I had no idea.
It was a great place.
So you were playing there from an early age, you and your buddies. Were you galvanized? Because I mean, looking back now, I'm so impressed by teenage me and our friends that we got together and practiced all the time and booked tours and like had this level of organization that no one told us to have.
Yeah, exactly. So you had that experience, Charles? You were in the back of a van doing the whole thing?
Yeah, I grew up in Amersham, or near Amersham.
Oh, no way. So I was actually, my mum's in
So enter
Berkhamsted.
Shikari, Gallows.
Yeah. We're very close.
I'm from Berkhamsted. When I say
Whoa.
Amersham, I mean Berkhamsted.
You know what's
Boxwell
funny?
Road.
Cowper Road, Torrington Road. Yeah. You know how you said Oxford, so I don't.
Road.
Yeah, I don't mention Berkhamsted, but yeah. So I was, yeah. I go back to see my mum every year. Amazing coincidence. So I grew up like.
What school did you go to?
I went to a school called Beechwood Park, which is kind of a posh boarding school.
Yeah.
In the area. And then I went to a school in Oxford. So my parents had heady ideas of educating me properly, but I just skipped out, just did music. I wasn't interested in towing the line there.
Yeah. And getting into the music tech side of it, did that come quickly?
Yeah, I guess so. It was just a means to an end. I was just so obsessed with recording music and being self-sufficient. I found, I just didn't really see the need to have a lot of other people around. I just like to be creative and capture it. And that just led to, I was already a few steps ahead with my friends' bands, so I would be helping them capture their music as well. And that led to building relationships. And at some point, I was in a band and I'd been touring, I've been out in America working. And at some point, I just realized as I grow older, I don't want to be on stage trying to relive my youth. I want to be in the studio helping young people find their voices in music. And I just love being in the creative role 24/7 rather than, or 365 days of the year, rather than making a record, then going out and then having to sort of repeat the promotional process.
Yes. I think that staying at home and being able to pay rent or, buy things you'd like and have time is a lesson, I think, for a lot of people playing music, which, you're on sort of one side of the fence with that, I think.
Yes, exactly. I became a homebody as well. I spent probably about 7 or 8 years properly touring, as in most of the year was spent sleeping on floors, sharing hotel rooms, in the van, doing all the merch, count yourself, making ends meet.
That's a long time.
Constantly believing that something will kick in the future will reward you. But I also have always lived by this notion that there's never a destination with the creative process that is actually like you've arrived. You never reach the top of the mountain. There's always someone that's attained more than you, that you aspire to be. And I realized at some point that the only path to happiness is to accept that the journey is the joy, that is the destination. And I see it because a lot of people in life, obviously, everyone has their kicks. A lot of people go with sort of normal steps of attaining things. I've always had to climb that mountain and do the creative process, but it's not because I expect to get anywhere. I am just doing it is the point. And I just love living the creative lifestyle.
Do you remember that first thing that you produced, or, I used to love that. I never actually got to it, but for years I thought I'd love a 4-track. Because just like you, it's like, okay, why would we pay this money that we don't have as kids? We got side jobs, but we can't afford studios to actually do this thing. And so what was the first thing that you recorded with your own gear that you thought, do you know what? This holds up.
I had that 4-track, one of those little cassette ones. I don't know if you remember the types. It was a little Tascam, just 4 tracks on a normal cassette that you would record 2 sides and then the other side and flip it around. And obviously pre-computers at that very, very small stage in my career where I didn't work on a computer. And I honestly, I don't remember recording anything thinking, this is it. But at that age, it was something that you were proud to play your friends, which I think is a big signifier. And that's also a really important thing going down the thread of the creativity. At the end of the day, making music is about communication. It's about sharing. And it's really important that you share things with your friends and look for that bit of response. Because if they just kind of go, oh, that's cool, and then talk about something else, you kind of need to go back and work a little harder. What you really want is that. You really, really want that. There's sort of two responses you really, really want. And one is like, oh, this is so cool. Can I hear it again? And then you're like, oh, we're onto something. And then the other magical one is, can I have a copy and can I play it for my friends? And that is the whole genesis of how like streaming and everything works in this day and age. If you can make a piece of music that people can't help listen to again or play for their friends, it'll take care of itself. You're onto something.
And that's the signpost in the process.
I believe so. I think that's the whole point. Everyone makes music. It's fantastic. Billions of people are making music now. You're absolute tsunami of creativity online. But if people actively want to share it with their friends without being prompted, without being pushed by record label, without being pushed by promotion, if they cannot help but play it again or play it for the friends, that's the point. That's exactly what like record labels were chasing years and years ago. They were trying to find those bands like Nirvana that people just couldn't help but want to listen to over and over.
Now with like this is the, technology moves quicker than it ever has done before. I think Billie Eilish was the first thing that I heard that, where it was like that kind of low, it was the understated, but it was just as catchy as the bombastic, elevated music. That for me, and I think probably most of the world is like, okay, this is a turn in the sound of how records sound. This is the turn of how records sound.
Oh, without doubt, that intimacy that's come into modern recording. And it so reminds me of being on that little 4-track at home and just recording my own feelings without any external input. And of course, Billie Eilish kind of coined that whole phrase of bedroom recording, Billy and Phineas. And it must be also massively part of the culture that arrived from musicians learning how to express themselves during COVID as well, during the pandemic, because they had less option to go out and play big shows. But there's a wonderful sense that DIY music making is back in the biggest way, where maybe 5 to 10 years ago, it felt like everyone was on their laptops doing EDM tracks. It feels like now people are picking up guitars again, which I am thrilled about, which is lovely to see.
What's your take? What's your personal concept of like how the sounds of music change? Are you someone that likes to dig your heels in? Are you going with everything flows, and are you always trying to every day's a new day? What's your kind of, I'm sorry, I don't want to put you in a box with this kind of thinking, or but have you thought about that stuff? How do you ruminate on those kinds of ideas?
Yeah, no, not in a box at all. I think that's exactly the point. I think of the creativity as like a human inbuilt human thing, and you can only possibly be a response to everything that you've taken on as a person, and then you give more back to the community. So it's like this giant ball of creativity. It's just being pushed along at a very, very slow rate by everybody. And it's your job. It's your job to actually push the ball along. Not any point in just rehashing something from 20 years ago, 40 years ago. People in the 70s weren't listening to the 50s trying to recreate that. They were in the 70s. The important bands were doing the best and the hardest work they could do to sound the most exciting to people in the 70s. No point rehashing. You can be influenced by it, but you can't copy it. Absolutely no point. You gotta. I'm always listening to newer music. The older music that I love will always be there. I'll always listen to it when I'm, cleaning the house, whatever. But I've got to learn and understand how new musicians are making music and what's getting them excited. And it's a combination of both, without a doubt.
It feels like at some point it was like, okay, we could get really lovely, really great sounding amps, and at some point it seems to me the kind of the kind of music that I'm aware of, which is mostly guitar music and alternative music, at some point kind of people pulled back on what a lot of people might think of like is sort of HD or HQ in favor of personality over production.
Oh, I mean, has it not always been hand in hand? Is Jim Morrison not just personality over production to a certain degree? I think it goes side by side. You're selling like this rock and roll lore as well as the music every time. Two sides to that coin, I think.
It is about people's stories, isn't it? I mean, that's why I do this. It's about stories. You know, I can never get enough of the story.
Great, yeah, I think so, and that is another example of how the social media and access to like people's personalities is massively important. And honestly, I for some reason, when I was in a band, I just did the whole, I refuse. I want to be mysterious. I don't want to do this. And, you know, horror to anyone that tried to help me record label wise and promote the band. I tried to be as mysterious as possible. But I was wrong to a certain degree. It turns out I just didn't want to be the center of focus. I liked the creative process. I didn't like being a rock star.
Right.
It's not for everybody. But the people who do love that are extroverts and are also massively creative. The access that you can get to their personal lives and the way that they think is a vital part of this now. And I think that's just fascinating. And I love working in the room with these mad people that just are fully happy to be in the limelight, fully happy to be photographed and talked about.
Yeah.
They're completely insane to me.
Yeah.
But it's very inspiring when they go out in the world. You just like, wow. I mean, look at your Adele. I mean, it's just a perfect example of, she's incredible singer, incredible writer, but the personality alongside that sells that. And same Lewis Capaldi, same thing. You can't help but just like love reading their interviews.
This is it. And with the Beatles, with the Get Back film, and seeing the producer and George Martin and seeing those different layers, they are really characters to the production. You know, there are some theatre shows you'll go to where the stagehands are brought in or the writers are brought in as the characters, and that's like a very magical, full-bodied. It adds depth, and I social media is doing that now. You know, with music again, in writers, producers, directors.
Yeah, it's lovely. Even Spotify's doing their part, which is nice. On Spotify, if you look at the credits, sometimes you can actually click through and there are profiles created for pure songwriters, people that have never needed to be in the limelight, but are writing these incredibly big, important songs. And producer credits have been out there in the world. It's actually lovely to have switched gears into that role now where I'm fully behind the scenes. But here I'm talking to you on a podcast because the role that we're doing is more and more respected as like not just dancing in front of the camera, but behind the scenes.
Yeah, big time. How did you move to the States? What was the story there? Was that a swoop of a move? Did that happen in one motion?
It's just the luck of the industry. You stay out there working hard enough. So when I was in my band, no success in England. No one could give a damn. I was down to London trying to get signed, playing shows for 3 years, and making our debut album. No, the band was called A Silent Film. Fixes was a band that I produced in England around that same sort of time where I was just trying to find my feet in the industry. And my debut album from my band had sort of come out and done nothing in England. And just a friend of a friend happened to give it to a record label in Florida who just heard it as a sort of, this will go well on American radio because it's basically that giant game of tennis between America and England. Like America will serve up England will serve up something like the Beatles. America serves up the Beach Boys. They inspire each other, and everyone thinks that one's doing better than the other. But it's really, really helpful sometimes. So we were just seen as a British band that was doing something in the sort of 2010 era that sounded really good on American radio. So we were picked up and immediately put into playlisting on radio stations without a record company out there at all. And we just leapt on that. And I went out there just constantly touring. And through that, I got visas. And when that band broke up, I had a visa that was due to expire. And I was like, if I don't go now, trying to get that visa, get started again, will be impossible. So I jumped out on that opportunity. I literally sold the band's entire backline to just pay for like enough to get by 3 months of rent, and I went to LA. I just turned up at every meeting I could. Harrowing time. I would never advise it to anybody. Just terrifying experience, because LA is not a friendly place. People do not care that you were in some small band in Oxford. I was Airbnb-ing like spare rooms in people's homes and just trying to just get enough going that I could get that next visa. And somehow I managed. And it's for me, it's turned into my lifeline for production. I love it.
Yeah, excellent. And was there a first record that you made out there, and that was the time where it's like, okay, cool, I'm gonna get a place on my own now, and then you meet their friends and their community, and you start. I mean, I feel like most people can pinpoint a few moments in their lives where in the time that something's changing. That it's like, okay, I better pay attention here, even if I'm not in control of it. The world's really in control of it, but I just got to put my best foot forward and hope that that what's going to happen is good. It sounds like that was a bit of a time for you moving to LA.
Yeah, everything happened because of risking that little asking for that little piece of help from the universe. Everything happened from there, and I don't know. Again, it's hard to sort of pinpoint one thing because you always feel like you're floundering. You're like, okay, is something going to come in? What's this? Oh, should I take this gig? Should I take that gig? What's better for my career? This one has less money, but this is like a bigger artist. This one's got the money, but it's not really going to probably go anywhere. So really, really tough. But I mean, the best thing that happened to me was I somehow got in the room on this Queens of the Stone Age record that just came out, and for 2 years I worked on that record, and it's that kind of has opened all the doors, because same person, same me, same experience, but as soon as you say a band of that level and the album really comes out in the real world, people just give you a different look when you walk in a room, and I certainly have felt the benefit of that. I still have to prove myself. I can't suck, but at least you can get into some bigger rooms, and you have the chance to prove yourself.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
I mean, Emotion Sickness. I'm a fan of Queens, and I understand the weight of what they do. And Josh Homme and all the other members over the years have brought to the project. My older brother play them all fucking day, every day growing up. Songs to death, and it was big in our family. But even like my mum was starting to enjoy, got into it after a little while. And she's not usually into guitar music. But my point is that a big fan into Queens, but hearing Emotion Sickness, I was like, fucking hell, this is next level. This is something else. This sounds like it's a classic music journalist trope, but it really works in this sort of scenario. It sounds like it's from the future, but it sounds like you've heard it before in a dream.
Oh, tremendous. Yeah, it feels like a slightly more musical take on Queen's this record rather than riffs. I don't really know. There was, with that band, never seems to be any premeditated conversations about we're going to try and do this. It's just go and pedal down, go. And I've never worked in such a high octane sort of like the air is tingling the whole time you're in the room with a band like that, with the energy of the creativity that's around you. No time for anything to fall off the tracks. You just go. It's quite frightening, and I credit to them.
So were they bringing songs into the session? Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, not at all. No, it's absolutely fine. Bringing songs into the session. I mean, I want to be careful. I don't talk too much. It's their life to talk about, not necessarily mine. My discretion is important with these things. But without doubt, the creativity is happening right there on the floor, right in front of me. No safety net. Like I'm used to working in a situation where you don't have the budget to be in the studio to start with. So to a degree, you kind of write your song, you get everything laid out, you get the arrangement in GarageBand or Logic or whatever, and then the band shows up and you flesh it out. But not with a band like this. It's just they know what they want to achieve in their heads. They're not going to spend time talking about it. They just get in a room and it just starts to happen right in front of you. Incredible. And what a strange record as well, where the conventions aren't followed. So you can't. My producer brain is going, but it's not. I haven't been employed to do that job, so it's quite strange to sort of be like, well, wouldn't there be a chorus there or whatever? But I'm not allowed to say it, so I keep my mouth shut. And then you hear the outcome, and you're like, this follows no known conventions, but I absolutely love it. And it's to be able to see that happen in front of you is a great experience. Strangely, to learn by just shutting your mouth. Sometimes it helps.
That was the biggest lesson I learned. So, I mean, when my band fizzled out in my late 20s and I was really, my fallow years were fucking real.
But I was in that era. What was your band called?
Well, we were called Great Cynics.
Cool. Okay. I don't remember, but I was around.
Lemonheads kind of thing. I mean, I feel like the other band members have gone into stuff that I've begrudged them for, and that's something I'm personally working on. Because it was my band that I started, and then it kind of went to shit, and then I became the unpopular person in the band. So this is kind of my origin story of what I, you know what I mean? This is my therapy stuff that I need to work through. But it was such a big part of my life. Yeah. You know, and that's everything I learned about life or music is through that band. And it's complicated, you know? Bands are complicated.
They are 4 or 5-way marriages. It's very complicated, and especially with these older legacy bands that have succeeded over a long period of time, and they don't quite know how they succeeded a lot of the times, but they certainly have a lot of opinions about it. And it's trying to unpick those relationships and get people to just be cool. You already made it. Like, you're okay. Yeah. Trust me. When you're 16 and 17, you have these problems.
Ego is not just something that happens for someone who's like above their station. Like, we all have ego. Like, this is so inbuilt in our brains. It's managing it.
Exactly. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. We all have strange thoughts that go on in our head. It's what comes out of our mouths that ultimately defines us as people. And got ego and jealousy within bands. So difficult when it comes down to publishing splits, things like that. The classic trope of they have one massive hit single in a band, but just so happens 1 or 2 people in the band got all the writing credit. Yeah. And I love it when you have a band that actually splits all their publishing.
Well, I did the opposite.
Oh, yeah?
I split it all, but I wrote all the songs on the guitar and vocals.
Me too.
And then kind of... and I liked that. And I'm glad I did that. But it's not even the money. It's the I felt rejected at the end of it.
Us boys from Berko were always fair down the line, to our fault.
I talk about that because when that band fizzled out and I had these fallow years of working at the pub and getting pissed every day and not feeling good for it, not a good pissed, I found a radio station and immediately volunteering there within a few months, I thought, oh my God, listening to people is the most magical thing you can do.
Oh, that's wonderful. So that's your origin story, is you came about the podcast and the radio world because of your experiences and finding this is your place within creativity. That's wonderful. Yeah. So I guess similar thing to me
is
the
one. That's exactly it.
Yeah. I was tired of being right focused under the creative thing of having to fight my corner on every creative decision. I much rather listening to other people, helping them get, clear their minds a bit and get focused and giving them guidance. And for some reason now I've found myself in a space where I cannot get upset about any ideas being rejected. I just don't find it. Whereas I used to, if I was the center of my creative world and I said, I think this, and then if somebody argued against me, I'd have to win because it was the center of my creative world. But when it's not the center of my creative world, I love giving people like 3 options that are all great options and just watching them choose and never ever taking it personally.
No matter who it is, if it's someone of music that you've known your whole life or someone you've just met, you come in from the same spot, that they're people and they're all different and they've all had different experiences.
Yeah, I think so. And I think definitely this role of producer, whatever it means in 2024, is so much of it is psychology of just listening and just working out where someone ticks and what might help them and help them with the creative process. You don't have to actually steer and guide the creative process. I'm not interested in giving somebody their sound. I want to see, as it comes out of them, how I can help them focus it and just help that enhance it. I'm a very strong believer that audiences are more intelligent than anyone really gives them credit for, and more intelligent than they've ever been as well. They instantly, I think, can sense when a musician stands up on a stage and sings a song that they obviously, don't believe in or was written for them. And I just think there's just no point. No matter how good you think your eye is at like putting this artist with this song, I think that's BS. I think I'm only interested in artists that get up and play the music that came from them. So I'm not interested in writing songs for people, because that is a role, obviously, in LA. There's a lot of writing sessions where people who don't have the experience just sit in a room with somebody and expect them to write a song but it's for them. So I avoid those sessions. I only work with people that I can tell have enough drive of their own, and I help that.
Mate, sounds like you got a great thing going.
I'm a lucky boy, Giles. I pinch myself every day, and I work hard. Yeah.
You're working are you a 7 days a week kind of person? Does it end up being 7 days a week?
My poor wife. Yes, it so often does. But we love it. This is how my brain ticks. If the phone stops ringing and I'm not working, I go into some kind of panic mode because I just feed off the creativity and the roller coaster of it. To me, it's kind of like an avalanche, and if you're just going with it, when it stops, there's a problem. Everything's broken, everything's wrong. But if you're just going with the avalanche, I'm happy, love it.
You will always, for the rest of your life now, have your name next to a Grammy nomination.
I can't. I know. Thanks for putting. Yeah, that's what I suddenly realized when it happened. I was like, oh, this can't be taken away from me. This doesn't have to be re-upped. Yeah. I can. Yeah. And what's weird is I can never really say it out loud. It's just a very British thing to be completely useless at selling yourself. But Americans are very good at selling people. So if I'm stood in a room with people and somebody introduces me now, the best and simplest way to introduce me is this guy, Grammy nominated, and it's just I feel like, oh my goodness. Again, huge thanks to the Queens of the Stone Age guys, because I feel like I jumped a few steps on the ladder because it's their record, they're nominated, but I'm along for the ride, so it's huge pleasure.
Fuck yeah, go there and drink some free beers. What are you going to wear?
Yeah, I'm sad to say, Giles, I can't pretend. I don't think I'm going to go. I think I get to. I'm actually working. I'm in the studio with another band on Sunday. I think they only want the glitz and the glamour. They just want the photogenic people to go. So, but I'm more than happy to not go. I'm not sure I'd enjoy the anxiety of the entire process. But I'll be raising a glass to them.
Well, amazing to meet you, Robert. Great to hear your story. We should reconvene. I'm going to South by Southwest, but that's the closest I'll be to you.
Oh, cool! Fantastic. Have you been before?
Never.
Ready yourself. It is
very up for
it's
it.
Beyond. It's very, very exciting.
Well, we should keep in touch. It'd be great to chat again.
Absolutely. Yes, I would love that. I can't believe that coincidence. So exciting.
What a great guy. Up for a Grammy today. He's going to be working. I wonder if he sneaks away for a cup of tea and just see what's going on. But he also seems like the kind of guy who's just happy to be there. And everything's a bonus. Loved that chat. I hope some of you got some good feeling from that. I think it's always interesting speaking to producers because, look, no shade, but I've met a lot of producers who are controlling, who are like, no, I'm going to tell you what this is, and that's not pure art. That's not the start. That's not the root to pure art. And, well, I guess it comes down to opinion, doesn't it? But fucking, I like that he's like, I elevate what people are already doing. Like, the magic is in you, the person, the songwriter, he or she or they. You know, like that's the magic is in the person, and he's the conduit. Yeah, that's cool. I like it very much. Thank you, Robert. Thank you for listening. And I'll be back with 3 episodes this coming week. Parts 1 and 2 with Idols singer Joe Talbot, and 1 with Jamie Webster, because I'm going up to Liverpool tomorrow to interview him as a pop-up show, which I'm very excited about. Liverpool's a great town, and Jurgen Klopp has just announced his leaving of the club, so they're probably feeling quite emotionally raw, and I think that's exactly the kind of foundation of where I flourish. I'm looking forward to it. Jamie Webster's awesome. His new record, 10 for the People, is coming out this week. So, yeah, fucking good stuff. See you soon. Subscribe, leave a review if you like. I don't know, all that stuff. I feel like such a fraud asking. Love ya.
Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.